guys, this is the training session number 44 in my training journey, and this will be abs workout training. I do not have suitable place to train my basketball handle, so I will train my abs for a long time. I've not trained my abs, so anyway, this is a very good time to do this. And as always, I will turn on a video on YouTube to listen to when I train my abs. So let's get into it.
Stacking it in Philly.
You know, he did sacrifice a lot of money, as he pointed out, about $60 million to get Scottie Pippen with the team. You know, he did that once before with the Suns.
It's fun playing with great players, and it makes the game so much more easier. And I would always say, the game is all hard if you can't play.
Is LeBron a big narcissistic? Yes. Is he very dramatic? Absolutely. But you can't deny this. When he first went to Miami, Miami couldn't get out the first round. Post that D-Wade championship run in 06, they had some of the worst results of any team making the playoffs in that span. Bron came, learned how to win championships, and we know the rest. When he went back to Cleveland, bro, they were fresh off of drafting arguably the biggest bust ever, and we know what he did there.
You got a nice suit on today too, man.
That's right.
You got me as well.
Now, would that happen if you were there? Would there be a celebration?
For some reason, some Lakers fans want to bury this part of their history, but this actually happened. In the 6 years prior to Bron going to the Lakers were in the worst drought of their franchise's history. It wasn't the greatest 8 or 9 years there, but he ultimately won an NBA championship and got them back relevant.
You gotta pull LeBron. You gotta pull LeBron. You gotta pull up.
LeBron, pull up to Philly.
And now Philly, they haven't won an NBA championship in 43 years. They haven't made a conference finals in 25 years. They had 3 chances in game 7s to actually make a conference finals. Do you remember what they looked like?
Is this the contender?
That Ben only took 4 shots. He passed up the ball really. Is there anything that you guys have talked to him about, or is that just
Between the legs. Sidestep. Puts him another trade. Harden's bad and being bad. Nobody can make a shot.
They didn't show up.
It's disappointing. They had a good team, just they never come up big at the end.
So this process has been absolutely grueling and heartbreaking. And now, this free agency, this crazy-ass offseason, the 76ers have 1,000% won. Now, right now, it is July, and everything always looks way better in July. 2 years ago, on paper, it looked like Philly won the offseason. But now they have arguably their most complete team that they've had in years, if healthy. And that last playoff series they won against Boston can easily be one of their most important series wins in like 40 years. Joel Embiid said this after getting swept by the Knicks.
I know we lost, and I know that's not the right mentality to have, but, for me, this was a success.
At that time, it might not have looked the best, fresh off a sweep and another year not making the conference finals, but in 2020 hindsight now, it most definitely was a successful year. Why? Well, they basically broke up Boston and in the process took their best player and got rid of one of their worst contracts, which essentially brought Bron, made their kryptonite much weaker and uncertain, and catapulted them into being real championship contenders if healthy. And again, that is a big if. Why this offseason also is just such a massive win for Philly is how their contracts looked 2 months ago compared to how they just look now. The 76ers had 2 of the worst contracts in the league when they lost to New York. They just did. As good as Paul George played last year down the stretch with Philly, he's not good enough or reliable enough health-wise to be making that much money paired with Joel Embiid. So if your 2 best players are older, health risk, and can't really carry you to being real championship contenders, your contract situation is an absolute mess. Well, now they just swapped one of their bad contracts for one of the best players in the conference who just carried the team to the second seed. And now, Joel Embiid's contract looks way less less bad when you have the player on the best contract in the sport now. Joel Embiid has 2 more years left on that contract, and Bron just signed for 2 years, with that last year being an option. And if these two can play 2 years together, minimum, this is what they both will be making combined. I don't know if I've ever seen a team magically get off of bad-looking contracts quite like this. I don't know if people exactly understand what Bron just did for that franchise, and Brad Stevens, to be honest. Now, how exactly would everything look? I do have some questions and some concerns with who exactly has the ball the most, who exactly shoots the most. Tyrese Maxey and Jaylen Brown led the conference in shots last year, and just how everything looks on the court together. But I can't lie, I am optimistic about this. I know the year Jaylen Brown had last year, shot the most he's ever shot, had the ball in his hands the most he's ever had, and basically was the #1 option for the very first time of his career. But if there's anybody that's used to adapting and changing his role, it is Jaylen Brown. When Jaylen Brown won Finals MVP, in that series, he averaged 21 points and played on a team where 5 players averaged 10 shots for the year. Tyrese Maxey really became the man post Joel Embiid's MVP year, when he really couldn't stay on the floor for any significant amount of time, and Tyrese Maxey had to do everything he's done. But easily, his most efficient year is when his volume was significantly lower. LeBron James, over these past 2 years, has proven he can play third fiddle, he can be the first option if need be in the playoffs, and you really have a Swiss Army knife that can run at least 4 to 5 positions. VJ Exum actually played his most efficient basketball with Joel Embiid and Paul George on the floor. And Joel Embiid, obviously the biggest concern health-wise, and really the player that it feels like everything relies on championship-wise. I don't know if anybody's health is more important this year than Joel Embiid's. And that's why this year, at least in the regular season, he absolutely needs this type of team. Last year with Joel Embiid and a much weaker team, they showed exactly what they can do, low managing Joel Embiid throughout the year and really bringing him back for the games that actually matter. The problem was they still wasn't good enough to be a top 2, top 3 seed, and they still were a playing team. And they still had to go through Boston in the first round, and then New York, the champions, in the second round. Well, now, with how their roster is constructed, they can very well be a top 2, top 3 seed, even with Joel Embiid low managing. So if they can snag the first or even the second seed and really nurse Joel Embiid up until the games that actually matters, this team can very much so be dangerous in May and June. They look like that this year, and they didn't have half the team they have now.
Jalen said on his live stream the other night that at first he felt like everything was fine, and then things kind of went left.
If he feels that way, then, you know, I'm sorry about that.
Jaylen Brown has a real chance now to prove Boston wrong and win big in the Eastern Conference.
You can't win alone. I can't win alone. I can't. Me and James, we just can't win alone. You know, that's why basketball is played 5-on-5. So
Joel Embiid has a chance to finally make the conference finals and get that nasty only MVP to never make a conference finals tag off his name.
And now the work for Magic Johnson, Rob Pelinka, to start building a contender around him. They don't have enough.
I mean, obviously winning a championship in 2020 is what's standing at the top. I mean, that was the reason why I came here, to restore, you know, that level of play and restore this franchise back to what it was known for, winning championships and playing at a high level.
And for LeBron, bro, no player has ever won 4 championships with 4 different teams. If you guys like this video, bro, in a month, Philly went from having 2 of the worst contracts in the sport to making them look great now. I can't believe it, bro. Follow my social media sites, turn on post notifications, do that great stuff, guys, and until next time, as always, stay tuned.
The next mayor of the city of New York, Zoran Mamdani.
1 year ago today, Pat.
I will be your Democratic nominee for the mayor of New York City.
Zoran won the Democratic primary and all but secured the mayor's office, snatching victory from the paws of the creep, and according to what I'm seeing on Facebook, turning the city into a cesspit of commie, Sharia, Bushwick, needle-swapping, woke, blue hair, no cops pronouns, Hamas, Kumbaya BS.
This city belongs to you.
Is that a good thing? Has Zoran the more dumb mom dummy Lenined up the Big Apple and read disgusting it? In this episode, we decided to find out. Title card. Hey, was I supposed to say that? Alright, quick plug and then we'll get back to it. As always, I want to respect your time, so here's a timestamp to skip ahead if you're not interested or not able runs on viewer support. And it's just, it really does mean the world to us. Alright, that's it. Back to the video. Let's start with a list. Zoran's achievements in just 6 months in office are incredibly impressive. And at the top, you have to put free universal childcare for thousands of 2-year-olds in New York. Just 8 days into his term, Mamdani secured a $1.2 billion budget to make pre-K free in the city and add thousands of new spots for kids. Finally, giving thousands of New York parents an answer to the question, how can I provide the greatest number of infectious diseases to my child at no cost? Let me tell you, I'm a parent myself, and this is a big deal. For everyone, but especially for those working class parents who can't afford to either take work off, or send their kids to private pre-K, or move neighborhoods to where seats are available. Not everyone can get help from family, and feeling like your kids are already falling behind at just 2 years old is a horrible thing. This plan eradicates that. And not measles, though. You might have also seen that we're taxing the rich now. In the capital of capital, second homes worth more than $5 million and that sit empty most of the year are now going to be taxed. That'll bring in somewhere in the neighborhood of $500 million. You get it? Neighborhood? Which is really good news for a city where rent and property prices just keep going up. There are entire streets filled with empty apartments used by billionaires exclusively as improvised bank deposits. Much in the same way I use my Funkos, we're all just parking our money in a safe investment. At least now there's a public benefit to us doing what we do. Now, as with most of Mamdani's plans, billionaires went to the press to whine. They said, oh, this is a mistake, people are gonna leave, we don't want to kick out millionaires who spend so much in New York, blah, 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 blah. But they know they're not going anywhere. Taxes like these never actually drive out more than a tiny percent of ultra-wealthy residents. Study. And at the end of the day, New York is New York. These guys can't avoid going there once in a while. If they can afford a $5 million apartment they barely use, they can afford this. They don't actually have any leverage, and boy does that feel good. So the city's getting more money coming in, and it's going to allow the mayor's office to do more of what they've already shown they can do well. Things like handling a historic blizzard, putting the screws to landlords, filling hundreds of thousands of potholes, getting rid of junk fees on hotels and delivery apps, and all this other stuff that this video is just not able to cover because we frankly underestimated how much Mamdani's done when we started this. And in the future, building more affordable housing, making buses free, and opening public grocery stores with the first one already announced for the end of the year. The wheels are already turning, and this is working. Having a socialist mayor is working. Not for nothing, but New Yorkers, by and large, they love the Zoe.
I like him, I like his smile, I think he's got good energy.
Love it. It's amazing that he does so much.
Look at this. Up like a rocket, higher and higher. New York City voters have never felt better about the man that they elected to lead this city.
He has done a ton of great things already, not the least of which breaking with the left's traditional MO. Losing. We've gotten so used to elections being a contest between Mr. Neo-Shitlib and Bring Hitler Back Man that it's incredibly refreshing seeing someone on the left not just offering an alternative and winning on that line, but then actually doing pro-working class things once in power instead of clip-farming anti-Republican zingers writing